You see the 2-year age advantage for Soliman. He gives up 2 inches in height. He gives up an extraordinary 4.5 inches in arm length. That's one of Winky's secret weapons, particularly when he throws that jab. They both weighed in under the 160-pound limit. They both put on weight. No, actually, Soliman has lost a pound on the scale unofficially coming into tonight. You don't see that very often. And Winky Wright is up 11.5 pounds to 171. Extraordinary. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Winky Wright Sam Soliman fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right. He comes from Melbourne. His handlers call him King Solomon sometimes, or Smiling Sam, and you can see the reason why. There may be few guys in the sport who enjoy it as much as does Sam Soliman. At one point in his career, Larry, 12 wins and 7 losses, and about as much kickboxing as boxing. Since then, 19 straight wins.
And if you look at him and you think you recognize him, it may be because you have a hyper 12-year-old in your house, because he seems to have attention deficit disorder. He just is irrepressible and just keeps going.
He won and lost against Raymond Joval of the Netherlands. You saw Joval against Fernando Vargas in Corpus Christi last year. Losses to Aussie Anthony Mundine, Englishman Howard Eastman, Aussie Glenn Kelly. That's the guy that Roy Jones knocked out with the punch that he threw from behind his back in Miami a few years ago. Soliman, happy to be here, to say the least. And now here comes Winky Wright. 8 of his last 10 fights have gone the distance. This is not somebody who commits to power punches, Emmanuel, and that's part of the secret of his greatness.
Yeah, you know, he's a very good technical fighter. He doesn't really try to push and punch all the way through with his power punches because of the fact that he might get out of balance and get hit himself. But if he would really be an aggressive guy and would punch completely through, he would probably have one of the highest knockout percentages in boxing.
And if he wants to know why the so-called best don't want to fight him, there are some who would. This fight earned him just a very low $150,000 site fee. There were maybe upwards of 4,000 to 4,500 fans immediately after his domination of Trinidad. And it once again shows that if you beat Tiger Woods, it doesn't make you Tiger Woods. He's not an attraction yet.
Or more to the point, it's not necessarily about whether you win or lose. It's about the way you fight. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Mohegan Sun here in Uncasville, Connecticut, where tonight Winky Promotions is proud to present the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing in the middleweight division. On the line, the WBC #1 world ranking, brought to you in association with Gary Shaw Promotions, sponsored by Rockaware, sanctioned by the Mohegan Tribe Department of Athletic Regulation, Tribal Chairman Bruce Bosom. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this contest on the 10-point system will be Dwayne Ford, Tommy Kazmarek, and Melvina Latham. And when the bell rings, inside the ring, the man in charge of the action, your referee, Richard Flaherty. And now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red, official weight 159 pounds, professional record 31 victories, including 12 knockouts with 7 defeats. From Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, the #1 IBF ranked middleweight in the world, Sam King Soliman. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing brown, official weight 159.5 pounds. Professional record, 49 victories, including 25 knockouts, with only 3 defeats. From St. Petersburg, Florida, the former undisputed light middleweight champion of the world, Ronald Winky Wright.
Sam, Winky. Okay, gentlemen, we're going to go 12 rounds. Expect a good professional fight. Obey my commands at all times. Let's have a good, clean fight. Okay, touch them up, guys.
Soliman says that his plan is to be first and then to be second. Throw the first punches and follow up. Winky says, given his style, he just may stand back for a while and laugh. Let's see.
As brilliantly immaculate as Winky Wright was against Felix Trinidad in winning virtually every minute of every round, he isn't always in that kind of top form. In fact, Emmanuel Stewart, he's shown a tendency in the past sometimes to fight down to the level of his opposition, to train down to the level of his opposition, or to lose interest in a fight that he's certain he's going to win. This is a night that could pose some unusual moments for him.
It could be, because this guy, the style is crazy. Just how long can he continue to throw punches from those weird angles is the big question. But Winky looks so much bigger than the guy. I know he came in at 171, but it looks like it's almost a 20-pound difference in the weight.
Many were shocked at the Trinidad Wright weigh-in when Wright, the 154-pound champion, looked the larger man.
It means that Winky's been having a lot of problems making 154 pounds for many years.
Throwing a series of wide punches there, which won't get anything done against Wright. Soliman did get in one uppercut. Wright can't find exactly the same rhythm to begin pumping that jab against a guy like Soliman as he was able to do against a standing target like Trinidad.
Right. Solomon's coming in from all kind of angles, just like a guy that's coming in right off the street. Normally in those cases, the guy off the street has the advantage for the first round or two. And then the real seasoned, balanced out fighter starts taking control.
Soliman shares something in common with our good friend and occasional colleague Max Kellerman. That is that he thinks Pernell Whitaker was the greatest fighter of the last 30 years. Describes himself as a huge Pernell Whitaker fan. Fights in a style that doesn't look anything like what Whitaker did.
No, it was strictly defense. Whitaker could use every angle in the book and movement to avoid punches and still be in a position to punch back and hurt you effectively. Where Wright primarily uses just his arms for his defense.
Well, this is more a Prince Nassim improvised style, although he doesn't have the big punch that Nassim had as a featherweight. No, but you can see what he's doing. He throws a combination of punches and gets right out, just like that.
But the way it looks, I don't think he can go 12 rounds at this pace, the way he looks right now.
Well, you're right. He almost seems to be hyperventilating and breathing hard already. But
on the walk-in, it was clear that nobody's ever been happier to be at Mohegan Sun. None of the customers, none of the employees, nobody. As Wright gets sloppier and sloppier, as Soliman gets sloppier and sloppier, Wright just pops him with a few punches here and there.
Well, this is the case where Wright can just be patient about everything. Just walk the guy down. About 3 rounds, this fight should be pretty much getting to be over with.
Soliman thrilled the crowd by getting in one little left hand on Wright, but most of his wild punches are blocked or just miss.
Well, he landed quite a few, and Winky was stable and calm, but he couldn't quite figure out the rhythm.
Put the left hand behind the jab more now. That way he won't be able to come in so close. Tag him with the left hand more this round. And then bring that hook up inside.
You're doing beautifully with it, okay? Doing very, very well. 3 deep breaths, suck it in. Yep. Suck it in. Okay, now you remember what I said about the left? You're ducking your head into his left hand. Keep getting your head outside to your left side. Don't duck your head back in on the right side. He's tapping you with that little left hand of his. It's not working very well. I only got you with it once or twice, but I don't want him to get you with it. Keep working on the combination work. The uppercuts are working well. So really good stuff, mate. Really good stuff.
Well, Soliman's trainer Dave Hedgecock talks fast. I hope Smiling Sam can listen that fast. CompuBox numbers in round one, Wright 15 out of 47. Soliman threw 96 punches, more than twice as many as Wright. Landed about the same number, 16. Now Wright turns to the referee and says he's cuffing me.
Come on.
Referee's the Richard Flaherty out of Massachusetts. Straight left hand after Soliman fired about 11 punches to various sides and parts of Wright's anatomy. Now Winky with another straight left hand.
You know, I never saw even any tapes or anything of Soliman until tonight. Unfortunately, even prior to studying for this show. But from what I can see, I would never have guessed that he'd had over 5 fights. Total, amateur or professional, the way that he's fighting.
He's won 19 straight. You're the man who trained Prince Nassim at the height of his career, Manuel. Would you call this bad Naz?
No, Naz could punch, though. He could, yeah, that's one thing about it. And he didn't throw this many punches. He had an unusual style, but he didn't just throw punches the way this guy's throwing them.
Well, this guy's supposed to be in phenomenal shape.
He'd better be.
And he'd better be.
And Winky busts him with a right hook inside. You heard trainer Dan Birmingham asking for a right hook. Winky landed it flush.
But he's landing more punches, Soliman. As far as I can see, it may not look great. He fights, you know, sort of like a spastic crow, just all over the place.
Yeah, but nobody can throw punches with those arm punches the way he's throwing them and all off balance. He's going to wire himself out. Just Winky's right jab, if nothing else.
Right guy, let him out.
Right, top straight left hand. We always talk about guys fighting in a phone booth. Winky must feel like he's fighting in a blender right now, but he's avoiding most of the blades. Good body shot by Wright with the right hand.
You know,
Soliman has dropped his hands completely.
All Winky has to do is just to cover up and just walk him down and don't throw anything for about 2 more rounds, and then he'll fall out on his own just about.
Knockouts are a matter of pure opportunity for Winky Wright. This may be one of those nights.
Yep. The guy's going to knock his own self out, really.
Soliman lands an uppercut, gets in another one. Wright rips him with a straight left hand. Soliman waving his arms in futility as Wright bashes him with another straight left.
That punch missed.
Let him go. All right, don't hit.
I thought Soliman won the round. Whatever happens in round 3 or 4.
Let's take a look at Dare to Dream coming up tomorrow night.
This is a revolution. You guys are making a difference, and we're like...
CompuBox numbers in round 2. Winky Wright, 18 out of 27 power shots, 23 out of 41 overall. Soliman, 18 of 121. I disagree with you, Larry. I think Wright landed by far the more significant punches. But either way, we go to round 3. It's the difference in accuracy and impact that ultimately should tell the tale, unless Soliman can keep it up like this forever and land something that Wright doesn't anticipate.
How do you anticipate?
You can't.
With this guy, it's like trying to anticipate, you know, where a fly is going to land on your arm.
That's the worst punch right there. Is going to be the right jab of Winky. The simple and the straightest punch that he can land.
And remember, Winky is a right-hander. He fights from a southpaw stance, but he's right-handed, and his jab can be very, very strong.
Like Oscar De La Hoya, like Michael Moore, like several others we've seen, fighting with his strong hand in front.
Well, also, Marvin Hagler was the same way. That's why Marvin's most dangerous punch often was his right jab.
uppercut landed inside for Sam Soliman. Wright backs him off with another straight left.
Wright is fighting a perfect fight, too. Putting a lot of pressure, making him throw punches by just moving in forward, covering up, and not trying to meet him punch for punch. Just picking his punches very conservatively.
Probably should be throwing more body punches right now.
To take advantage of his physical strength also.
Yeah, he's just a bigger guy, and keep this guy from running his wind sprints on him.
Larry, our first ringside request question goes to you. Would Winky Wright ever face Floyd Mayweather Jr.? And if so, who would win?
Would he fight him? Why not? If the money was right, and if it was a serious negotiation, which I don't think the last one was, absolutely.
What happened in the last one?
Well, I think that it was just not a serious negotiation. I don't think it was to Mayweather's best advantage, given the opportunities out there to fight a Winky Wright right now.
Let's assume they fought at 154 pounds, 6 pounds below this. Who would win?
I think Wright is too strong, and I don't think that it would do any good for Mayweather to move up there, because all it could do is blunt some of his speed.
I agree. I have a hunch it's a fight we'll never see.
No, I never thought seriously when I heard about the fight. I never even took it serious.
You just saw Sam Soliman almost fall over backward, and then you saw Winky Wright bust him in the chops with a straight left hand. I think the accurate punching of Wright is beginning to take its toll.
Good job, good job. Wink. Yeah. When you're pushing him off, don't let him set up. Push him and punch. Okay. Push him and punch. Nice job. Nice job. Nice job. Good job. Calm. Breathe. Take a couple deep ones. There you go.
A few body shots, nothing major, okay? Doing very, very well, mate. You're outpointing him, easy. Keep it nice and plain, keep it simple, keep your hands up, keep moving the way you're doing, keep that volume of punches going, because you're doing really, really well.
Here's proof, evidence that even Soliman doesn't know where he's going. He trips over his own feet.
But you heard his trainer Dave Hedgecock say you're outpointing him easily.
You know, it's like if a 12-round fight is a mile race, it's like he's fighting it at a quarter miler pace. So can he keep that up?
Hey, Harold, Dave Hedgecock says that his fighter Sam Soliman's outpointing Wright easily.
Well, he must like activity, Jim. I gotta tell you, I got 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Ronald Winky Wright. But I gotta tell you something, Jim, I had to give Sam Soliman that second round. I mean, by Letterman count, he threw about 900 punches. I mean, it's just impossible. I never saw a guy work like that. Absolutely amazing. Came out in the 3rd round, showed that great energy. But judging boxing is really, at the end of the round, who hurt the other guy more than the other guy hurt him. 2-1, Winky Wright.
Well, I say this much. He's landed blows more than Trinidad did on Winky Wright. That's
Way
for
more.
sure. Yes.
But that's because they're coming from odd, unconventional angles. The nature of Wright's defense, and there's a great low blow, incidentally, by Winky Wright that Richard Flaherty had no chance to see. The nature of Wright's defense is that the straight-up conventional fighter who comes straight in has very little chance to land because he has a medieval guard in front of him.
Yeah.
But this is definitely not conventional, and he comes from all angles.
You know, we have seen some fighters over the years who had that arms in front style. All of Customato's fighters, Floyd Patterson, Jose Torres, Mike Tyson, Archie Moore used to fight with his arms in front of him sometime. But all of those fighters could punch. They came in and they could punch. And Winky Wright has a similar style, but he's not a puncher.
And that's very interesting, because usually guys like that just spend a lot of time on defense, they know they're taking a risk of losing a decision if the fight goes to the limit, so they usually are good punchers.
Vicious body shot by Wright with the right hand, straight left hand. He's punishing Soliman for Solomon's indiscretions with the feet and the hands. George Foreman in his second career put up a cage, came forward, pressured the other fighter until he got a chance to punch.
Yeah, George was an exceptional man, physically and mentally.
Watch your head, okay? I've been telling you, watch your head.
But one similarity, I think, between the second George Foreman and Wright is the relaxation level in the ring.
Yes, he was a real hyper-type fighter the first time around. Second time, very relaxed. But the one thing that was consistent, he always could punch. He was always a very strong, determined fighter.
Winky Wright's relaxation is allowing him to get off and land solid shots against Sam Soliman in this round. Suddenly, Wright looks a little like a puncher as he knocks Soliman back with every shot.
Yeah, Winky is doing something you don't normally see him do, which is sometimes to punch with his opponent. Normally, he lets his opponent punch, and then he goes.
Soliman held Winky with the left hand and got in an uppercut with the right. An old Lennox Lewis move. Wright with a body shot and a left hand inside to punctuate the round. And Soliman looks weary as he goes back to his corner. We have a ringside request question as to why we don't show round card girls on World Championship Boxing. That's a great question, and here's the answer. Did you know, Emmanuel, that the 5th round is coming up? That's what that card means.
That's the only way when I'm working with my fighters I can find out what the round is. I look for the round card girls.
Did you know, Larry, that Christmas is coming up? That's what that outfit means. Magnificent, and thank you to the viewer.
Beautiful, beautiful. Same
We
job,
should have
same
that
job.
question before
time he's in
every
ring,
round.
Replay. Winky Wright hammering Sam Soliman with a straight left hand inside, and Solomon's arm flails away at the planet Mercury somewhere off in the distance. Average punches per round. Wright 22 out of 44, economical. Soliman 16 out of 107, astronomical. Fight has evolved into a steady pattern now. Winky Wright walking Sam Soliman down. Soliman alternately backing away or standing his ground and trying to throw a flurry of punches.
Winky is a little bolder than you normally see him because he understands that Soliman, for all his flailing, you know, has nothing behind those punches.
I can't believe you coaxed Harold Letterman into giving the second round to Soliman. You are really a strong opinion leader, Larry.
Well, I calls him the way I sees him.
I know. It's all about the truth. Last HBO boxing telecast of the year. Winky Wright trying to finish off the year in which he finally rose to major prominence, coming off his 2 straight wins over Shane Mosley at 154 pounds. He moved to 160 and destroyed Felix Trinidad. Hard right hand by Wright.
Soliman comes right back. And
won't take yes for an answer.
No, but he's actually out fighting Wright for the most part.
Wright seems to be coasting a little bit here in the 5th round. Still far the more accurate puncher. Wright throws Soliman in the ropes and tries to hit him on the rebound. Second ringside request question comes to me. Where does Harold Letterman sit during the fight? I never see him. The answer is, he sits somewhere where you can't see him. Hard punch by Wright with the straight left hand.
You know, Winky is still having problems with trying to hit Soliman with a clean shot, though. He throws punches and he has his body in such weird positions that Winky cannot connect solid with him, though, most of the time. Right there, the punch goes over the back of his head.
Sit down, 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths, come on, get it out, get it out. Beautiful. Going back. Okay, now while you're doing your jab, you had it all your way because he had to put his hands up. He can't get himself directed. Get the towel on his back. There you are. Now listen, I want you to do more, okay? You've got to get the jab going. You're falling into standing in front of him. You can't afford to stand in front of him. You're throwing your shots and you're standing there. You're trying to duck and weave. He's going to get you with something. He's throwing something underneath and he's coming back with a hook or a rip. So he's going to get...
Keep killing his body.
CompuBox numbers through the 5th round.
Breathe, relax.
Wright has landed 111 out of 223, exactly 50%.
All right, let's go.
Incidentally, if you're wondering how it is that Sam Soliman could have such an amazingly unorthodox style, consider that he comes from Melbourne, Australia, a city where you turn left from the right lane. Even he couldn't figure that one out for us. Says that boxing is his second favorite sport. Sam Soliman's favorite sport to watch is footy. You know what footy is, don't you, Emmanuel?
No idea.
Australian rules football. Called footy, which is a cute name. It's not a cute sport. It's a brute sport.
Yeah.
6th round of a scheduled 12. Soliman gets in a right hand to the body, sticks his jab, moves away, ducking and spinning. Wright lands 2 straight jabs and fires a left hand. Another 1-2 for Winky Wright.
And he comes right, Soliman comes right back after those exchanges. It's very difficult to hit clean the way he has his body angling so much when he throws punches. Always twisted and turning, twisted and turning. But Winky's putting a lot of pressure on him, and I agree with what you said earlier, Larry. I think that Winky should go more to the body.
Does Soliman have a terrific chin, Emmanuel, or is Winky still not punching through the target?
Well, he's never been stopped, so he must have something.
Well, he's got a pretty good chin. I think he doesn't get hit clean too much. It looks like it, but he has a good angle. But I think he has a good chin.
Well, if he gets hit, he doesn't get hit with a 2nd or 3rd punch.
Good body shot by Soliman, then he backs away. Wright has become a little bit more stationary, and Soliman has gotten to the body a couple times. White reaching for Soliman there with the jab as though trying to find the light switch in the dark. And a hard right hand by Soliman lands on the jaw of Winky Wright.
This is the most I've ever saw Winky Wright get hit, believe it or not. And I've been watching him since, I guess, about 1989 in the amateurs.
How about the last 2 rounds of the Fernando Vargas fight?
Well, you know, it's funny. I don't remember too much about that fight. But I do know that Winky fought a good fight in that fight. And Winky fought with a damaged hand, which he's never complained about.
And that was really the fight in which he unveiled his unorthodox style, right, Larry?
Yeah, he did. In fact, his trainer, Dan Birmingham, said he was stunned by what Winky did in that fight, which is what you see now. He used to be a stick and move southpaw. He came out, decided that if he's ever going to make any money in this game, it wasn't going to be by running. And he invented a defensive, offensive seeming style.
This is a give-and-take round. Soliman giving as good as he got down the stretch of the round.
Got it, baby. I know, I see. You worked your jab, you moved around, you're offsetting, you did everything I asked you to do. You've got to keep moving. I don't want you coming back to center. You understand what I'm saying? Grab that bit of ice, Stewie. I don't want you.
Bring that hook up sometimes with that behind the left hand. That's right. On the chin, I'm talking about. On that chin.
Right there. You get him to the body, you just bring it to the head. We're going home. He's just trying to survive.
Good work. Breathe.
I'm good. Breathe in, Jay. Come on. You feeling good? Okay, then let's step it up there. Let's go, Jay.
Come on, baby. Let's go.
Next ringside request question will go to Emmanuel Stewart, but before we get to that, let's check in with Harold Letterman.
Wipe that up.
I got it through 7, Harold.
Okay, Jim. 59, 55, 5 rounds to 1, Ronald Winky Wright. Jim, let me tell you something. You know, we always talk about good defense. Good defense is keeping your hands up high and your elbows in tight, picking off the shots on your gloves, your elbows, your forearms. Now, when a guy throws a lot of punches like Sam Soliman and he hits you on the forearms and the elbows, you got to give Winky Wright credit for good defense. It's one of the 4 criteria that we score a fight on. So give Wright credit for defense, and he's landing the harder shots.
Yeah, but Howard, you yourself earlier said that it's who puts more hurt on the other guy that really matters.
Exactly, Larry. You know, bottom line is who's doing more damage. That's true. I always emphasize clean, effective punching, but defense is one of the 4 criteria that we score.
You can see how concerned Wright is about Soliman's orthodox style. As he moved away a moment ago, he covered his head with both hands.
Yeah, he's been butted, and it's funny with Soliman, probably the worst talent that I've saw in a world championship fight maybe ever, and Winky being, I think, the best maybe pound-for-pound fighter, but it's going to be an interesting fight, though, at this stage.
He must have missed Murad Hakar against Bernard Hopkins in Philadelphia a couple of years ago.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that one.
Well,
I didn't see it.
Right. You know, he was the Frenchman who was hiding behind the referee for most of the fight.
That was worth it. So the viewer request question for you, ringside request question for you, Emmanuel. What's the hardest thing for Soliman about fighting here in the USA, coming all the way from Australia? We know that he got here 11 days in advance of the fight. Is that long enough?
You know, it's a difference, I think. He should have been here about 3 weeks, but he seems to be a very unusual guy. The fact that he started his career fighting 12-round fights for the most part, which is unusual. But the normal guy probably would hurt more than him. But normally I like to see, especially with Australia, which is a big-time difference, about 3 weeks at least.
Another problem, of course, is that as hard as he may work to find great sparring partners in Australia, he would never have the same talent pool against whom to work as is the case here in the USA.
That's correct. I don't know how long he trained here, really.
Winky finding out that the body is easier to find than the head, and he's landed some very good shots to the chest. You know, it's like you're fighting your kid brother, and your kid brother is just all over the place, and you can't quite get your hands on him.
And yeah, you laugh at him for a minute. You do it just a matter of time before he gets tired, but this guy's going 7 rounds now, still doing the same thing.
Damn it, bro, stand still. So, Larry, one thing these two fighters share in common is that they have been nomads in the sport. Take us through some of the strange itineraries which have greeted them.
Well, you can see from this, we know about Winky's odyssey, but Sam Soliman had similar problems. Who would want to fight a guy with this style? And he was willing to become a road warrior, just as Winky Wright was, in order to get to Unclesville, Connecticut.
Yesterday, he told us the story of a fabulous excursion to Fiji with a group of fighters. More on that in a moment.
I don't want you doing the same thing. Mix it up a little bit this round. Change it around a little bit. Remember, I want more movement, more jabs. Your jab is the answer to it. It tough sets him. Don't get set. When you throw punches in bunches, he stops and holds it.
Look at the crowd in the Mohegan Sun Casino Arena, Uncasville, Connecticut. CompuBox numbers through round 7. Winky Wright 164 out of 330. Sam Soliman 108 out of 728. Soliman is averaging 104 punches thrown per round. He told us the story of going to Fiji with a group of fighters, which included a heavyweight. They went out for a boat ride. During the boat ride, all of the fighters slipped into the water to swim, except the heavyweight who didn't want to, and suddenly his buddies tossed him off the side of the boat, and they learned that the heavyweight couldn't swim. It took quite a while for them to pull the heavyweight back into the boat, but they were doing it on the other side of the boat from where Soliman was swimming himself. So when he came back into the boat, he had no idea what had gone on with the heavyweight, and cut up that he is, he tossed his heavyweight buddy right back into the water.
Well, he's, you know, he does have, you know, the guts of a burglar to fight the way he's fighting and to be fighting one of the best fighters in the world.
Said even though though there were sharks in those waters, it was incumbent on him to get back into the water and stay there for a half hour until the heavyweight cooled down. Winky Wright landing more body punches in this round. As Larry Merchant has pointed out a couple times, easier to find the rib cage than the head. Soliman looks up into the rafters as though to examine the crowd and suddenly throws a flurry of 7 or 8 punches.
Now, whatever else you can say about this fight, it's the most action-packed fight we've seen right in for a long time.
It's the most I've ever saw him in.
People may want to see him fight Sam again.
And actually, Winky is having to work tonight. This is the most I've ever saw him work.
Well, I mean, I'll agree with you. In terms of style and the effort that Wright is having to put out, Trinidad was a walk in the park compared to this.
Oh, yeah, Trinidad was an easy fight for him. He knew what Trinidad was going to do. He doesn't have any idea what this guy's going to do.
Soliman lands 2 hard right hands. Most guys struggle to land 1 solid punch around against Winky. Roundhouse right lands inside for Soliman as well. Winky's painting him with body punches during this, but that doesn't seem to slow the Aussie down.
You know what? When Winky goes home to St. Pete, he's going to look like he's been in a fight. Both his eyes are puffed up.
And if this guy weighed as much as Winky weighed, came in the ring about 170 pounds, we would really have a fight on our hands.
Well, of course, if he'd come into the ring weighing 170, he wouldn't be able to throw 107 punches per round either.
All right.
I gave that round to Sam Soliman.
So did I. This time you got me convinced. This Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, don't miss Dare to Dream, the story of the United States women's soccer team. Relive the accomplishments of that unforgettable group, which captured the nation's heart and became heroes to a generation of young women on their way to winning the 1999 Women's World Cup. Of course, as a University of North Carolina grad, when I think of that team, I say, go Tar Heels.
Let's get it first. I'm sorry.
Take a rinse, Wink.
Go ahead.
The hook. Okay, he drops his hands, he's catching that rip, you'll get him with that hook. Okay, now I want you to do a bit more often, and you've got to pick the work right. Round 9 coming up. Okay, you've got 3 more rounds, mate. This is round 9, 3 more rounds. You've got to outwork him.
Well, he had good advice. His arithmetic wasn't too good. There are 4 more rounds if it goes the distance.
Power punches in 8. Winky Wright 23 out of 44. Sam Soliman 20 out of 88.
This is the last warning.
And together, Larry and I convinced Harold to give that round to Soliman too. No, he had it done on his own. Just kidding. There's no way we influence Harold.
The referee just warned Soliman for a button. I think it's about the 2nd or 3rd time he's butted Winky Wright.
That's just a southpaw conventional fighter thing. I don't think there's anything deliberate, calculated, or otherwise.
The referee, Richard Flaherty, is famous here in Connecticut as the guy who aided Mickey Ward's victory over Arturo Gatti in the first Ward-Gatti fight and prevented what a lot of people thought was the logical result, a draw, by scoring the 9th round 10-7 for Ward. A round in which Gatti rallied strongly and had big moments toward the end. That's one small moment.
You know, I believe that Soliman's been more competitive in the last few rounds.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at him. I thought he would be stopped by then, but he's evidently used to doing this. The fact that he's never been knocked out, and he's been in with some big punches, I guess. But to operate and to compete on this class that he's doing tonight, it's amazing.
Winky is almost feeling he has to brawl with this guy. It's like he's almost abandoned his tight style.
Winky seems a little insecure about the number of times that Soliman's been able to get to him. Now Winky hits him hard to the body and and a big shot upstairs with the hook. Soliman just keeps coming. He has amazing stamina.
In fact, all you do is just ignite him when he gets landed in with a punch. And he explodes right back. No power, but he's throwing punches back.
He may be tired because he's just standing right in front of Winky now. We've seen a lot of Aussie fighters in the last few years. They come, they're very tough, very determined, but somehow they fall a little short in the technique department. But
Pressure, Wink.
That's all right.
Good pressure,
Man, that's
Wink.
enough to earn it, champ. Let's keep doing
Relax.
what we do.
Relax.
Let's keep doing what we do.
That was a perfect
Man, that's
round,
enough
just
to
like
earn
that.
it.
Perfect round.
You're looking beautiful.
You're hurting his ass to the body.
Some of them get like
3 rounds to go. 10, 11, 12. 3 rounds to go. Now, mate, you can do this. Punches in bunches. Left jab. Okay, stop coming back to centre and stop this ducking and weaving. He lags on you. Okay, he only's got to land 3 or 4. Listen to the crowd. They're all pro him, even though you're out pointing. Now, we don't want to give him that opportunity, okay?
there is a right, lands flush, but Winky is not a power puncher.
Average punches per round through the ninth. Wright, 24 out of 50. Soliman, 15 out of 104. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
You know, Jim, I'd like to know what kind of vitamins this guy takes. Amazing. 88, 83, 7 rounds to 2. Ronald Winky Wright. Jim, I got to agree with you on that 6th round, the 8th round rather. I thought Soliman won it, so I had him winning the 2nd and the 8th. But other than that, I thought Winky Wright's just doing too much damage. To tell you the truth, that 11-pound weight gain just probably giving him more power. But he definitely looks pained. He's definitely working hard. And Soliman just throwing punches like mad. Problem is, Winky's doing more damage.
Harold, it's not the vitamins, it's the Vegemite. Check it out sometime.
Talk to us about Vegemite, Jim.
If you eat it, you can't talk about it. It's a little like eating salt, but not quite as good.
It's an Australian thing, right?
Very much, and they love it.
You know, speaking of Australian fighters, you know, I guess the last true Australian fighter was Jeff Fittick, and he was a very tough character, too. We speak of Costa Zoo as Australian, but don't forget he really came from Russia, from the
Soviet Georgia, actually.
Right. So they have a different technical style of fighting. And Robbie Peden did most of all of his career fighting and training in the United States here. But Jeff Fittick was a true Australian, and there's some tough characters.
Yep.
Wright standing in and bashing Soliman away from him.
But Zoo became a favorite in Australia. You know, he drew over 30,000 fans there for a fight.
He was one of the 10 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, but they had him.
But I'm saying for style, the style was not that of Australian.
A left hand, I believe, hurt Soliman.
Right hook. Really hard right hook. Flush on Solomon's jaw, but the Aussie just stands in and keeps fighting. Winky may have him now. That was a brutal left hand. Catching him on the rebound again as he comes off the rope. Soliman keeps throwing.
Can Soliman make it out of this round?
I'm betting yes. 44 seconds to go. He's still standing. He's still throwing.
And at this stage, you got to worry about Winky tapping and take a break because he may be a little fatigued himself now.
Yeah, Winky made an effort there for a minute.
A good effort. Winky's looking for that one good clean shot.
Now he's trying to gather himself a little bit.
Yeah, he's tired himself now.
Not throwing. The right hook is what's been landing.
Look at this guy.
He's unreal. And he lands a straight right hand on the chops of Winky Wright. No power.
And is winning the last 30 seconds of this round.
The crowd is standing. They were expecting a definitive outcome. Good round.
Sorry, get the towel, get in the towel. Sit down. Sit down. Hey, you know what happened then? The rope, the dope shit. Okay? It's not on, Sam. It's not on. You stop and you slow and you start ducking and weaving. Your hands are down around your tummy. What a great effort. You come back beautifully. Don't lean up against the ropes and hold your hands down like there's end swell right here. Come on. Let's
tall now. He's dead tired, man.
Pan is enough to earn it.
Relax.
Keep working like you
Take
working.
a swallow.
Winky really wants to get rid of this guy, and that was the left hand that almost did it. But somehow Soliman survives, took some punishment on the ropes.
Time! Blink, over there.
A doctor examining
Okay?
Sam
Okay.
Soliman
All right, time
gives
in.
his okay for the fight to go on.
So it means that as soon as Soliman gets hurt, if he does, the referee's going to make a quick decision to stop the fight probably now. Because he was in the corner through the duration of the whole round.
He's actually,
Between the rounds.
he's actually less marked up than Winky.
You give Soliman a minute's rest, he can fight for 3 more months. Some of the marks on Winky Wright could be from headbutts here and there, but Soliman has landed some punches, that's for sure.
You know, Solomon's landing a lot of blows in this fight, in addition to using his head.
Well, like I say, Winky Wright's much more susceptible to the roundhouse punch. You try to throw something straight up the middle, the way a great fighter would, that guard is right there. Although that time Soliman sneaked it through the middle of the guard with a straight right hand. Wright is still conserving energy, just as he was at the end of the last round.
And hoping to find one punch again and not doing much.
But using his arms as that steel cage to block Solomon's punches and waiting for Soliman to stop throwing.
Wink is not used to throwing these many punches himself.
Certainly isn't. Straight left hand for Wright, lands flush. I've never seen a fighter who's so willing to bounce off the ropes back toward his opponent. They trade roundhouse shots in the center of the ring.
This guy's the epitome of just internal strength, because he's been exhausted from the first 2 rounds, but just inside, he's such a tough guy. He just will not give up. His body is gone, but it's just his mind and determination is still there.
Don't hit.
And if he goes back to Australia with a loss, he has one signal consolation.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's going to have a lot of respect from people here. And in fact, this is really kind of diminishes the image of Winky.
Because?
Because it's the first time that he's actually fighting almost just like a normal guy trying to win a decision or to score a knockout and not being able to operate in that comfort zone that he's always operated on.
Yeah, which he has complete control.
Yes, and that's even with the top fighters.
Which shows how styles can make fights, just as Bernard Hopkins could make Taylor look bad and amateurish. He's making Winky look not quite in the full control that he normally is.
Soliman, I think, thought that the fight was over. He was starting to walk around the ring and wave to the crowd. They pulled him into his corner to let him know there's one more round to go.
Incidentally, I gave Soliman that last round.
Well, he was certainly more active.
Don't let up on this 12th
Speaking
round.
of styles, you could have Bernard Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor fight 5 fights. It would always be the same.
There you go, blow it.
And if these 2 guys fought 5 times, it would be the same.
Right. You must win this round by all means. Left jab, keep peeling off. Punches in groups like you do, 3, 4, 5. Then go underneath, then come back up. But move, dance. I want you on your toes.
Up, champ. Don't let up, champ.
This is our round, Wink.
All right, let's go. Last one.
Well, Sam Soliman's already become the man to throw more punches against Winky Wright than anybody else in any fight. J.C. Candelo got up 1,108 punches against Wright. Candelo's a non-stop punching machine. Soliman's already thrown 1,139, and there's about another 100 of them right there.
But more important, he's a man, I think, that's landed more punches, I think, on Winky Wright than any man ever that I've saw.
The consolation I was thinking of for Soliman, guys, is that he's already told us that when he goes home, he's married to the world's most beautiful and wonderful woman.
Pound for pound, the best, he called her.
She's in Melbourne, in case you wanted to know. Solid left hand by Wright. Hard right hand by Wright as Soliman flails and waves coming in. Goes on by.
But look at the way that Wright has delivered a lot of his punches. He's never delivered punches like that. His punches was always accurate and pinpoint. He's trying to land any way that he can now.
Yeah, Soliman has landed by CompuBox numbers, Manny, 164 punches. Vargas was given credit for landing 266. So Fernando Vargas was the man who landed the most punches against Winky Wright in Vargas' controversial victory over him 4 years ago.
Man, you think Winky's a little bit kind of insulted that this no-style guy can stay with him for 12 rounds, keep punching him, puff up his eyes?
I definitely think so, Larry. That's why he's tried a couple of times to just go all out and just plain use his strength and punch and pound and force a knockout, and he couldn't even do that. He's tried 3 different styles tonight. None of them have worked. He's flirting with losing this round, too, because he's not throwing very much, while Soliman throws and throws and throws and throws. This is probably why Soliman, I think, fought a 12-rounder in his second professional fight without hardly having any amateur fights. Soliman has already thrown 89 punches in the round. Wright's only thrown 38.
The crowd is on its feet and cheering.
And very seldom do you see this on a Winky Wright fight.
And it's because of what Sam Soliman is doing.
Less than seldom. You never see this in a Winky Wright fight. Certainly wasn't what I anticipated.
No way.
Sam Soliman is a different kettle of fish as he gets ripped with the left hand and comes back to throw 10 punches. Pops him again with a flush right hook.
Trying to...
Wright spins Soliman's head around with a left cross. And they finish.
Unbelievable.
And Soliman blew out his cheeks at the end like a miler hitting the tape, having given every ounce that he had in him. Sam Soliman may have made some fans in America, and who knows, we might see him fighting another middleweight somewhere along the way.
Yeah, who wants him next? Harold Letterman gave the 11th and 12th rounds both to Soliman to wind up with not that one-sided a scorecard at 8 rounds to 4.
It isn't.
And the crowd loves Sam Soliman. He should go to the craps table later. They'll all be pulling for him. Let's take a look at the 3 judges who'll be scoring the bout tonight. It is an experienced group. Dwayne Ford, you know, from Nevada. Notable fight. Scored Taylor Hopkins 115, 113 for Taylor, famous for giving Taylor the 12th round, the margin of victory in the fight. Veteran judge with a long resume. Same is true of Tommy Kazmarek. 77 years old, sees the fights very well. Scored Wright Mosley 2, 115, 113 for Wright. Wright won a split decision that night, 2 15-13s, and one judge had it even. And Melvina Lathan of New York, Bird Galata scored a draw. It was a very difficult fight to score. Some people thought Galata won. Bird got to keep his belts. His belt, I should say. Does this affect your opinion of how Jermaine Taylor would do against Winky Wright?
Well, it's two different styles of fighting. I think that Soliman would give anyone a trouble, but I think that still, technically, Winky Wright may be the best boxer out there, but it did show a lot of weaknesses tonight. And if Jermaine and he would fight, it could easily be a toss-up. Right?
I'll tell you the one thing it suggests to me, that Taylor, so wild with the right hand so often against Hopkins, might land some of those wild right hands against Winky Wright.
But I think he's still more traditional, so at least Winky can kind of anticipate what's going to happen. This guy was just totally a mess tonight.
Michael Buffer has the official decision. Let's see who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Tommy Kazmarek scores at 115 to 112. Dwayne Ford, 117 to 110. And Melvina Lathan, 115, 113. All to the winner by unanimous decision. Winky